Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Now I will discuss the unit Women Participation in Politics, Theories and Debate. I have divided this unit into 4 modules. First, defining women political participation. Second, political participation as a tool for women empowerment. Third, political participation as mere symbolism. And fourth, approaches to increase women's democratic participation and recommendations made at different global meets for women political participation such as South Asia Watch, Asia Pacific Women Watch, UNDP, Commonwealth and other various international forums. Now I will discuss about the first module, that is entitled Defining Political Participation. Here I have first of all discussed the concept political and then cleared the concept participation. Political is essential for being the part of the policy making, for being the part of the decision making, for being the part of the administration of a country. Then participation is essential for being the member of political culture, political socialization and for being the part of the system. So, political participation is very essential and crucial factor for women empowerment, and without participation, the goal of women empowerment, women decision making power and women as policy analyzer cannot be achieved in our country as well as at worldwide. In this module, specifically I have discussed various important definitions made by thinkers. They have discussed political participation as an opportunity which is provided to the people so that they can be empowered, so that they can be the part of the decision making, they can be the part of the administration of the country and they can be active citizenry of a country. Then here some of the important and crucial issues are being discussed, that why women political participation is lacking or why it is not that much clear and visualized, and various setbacks and various lacunas and the problems in the path of women political participation has been discussed in this module, and then after some of the recommendations are made so that these obstacles can be removed. And in this module I have discussed that how participation can not only empower women politically but also the civil, political, legal rights empowered them at state level and also at the family level, at their personal development, at the multifaceted development of their own consciousness, of their own personality. So it is very crucial that women empowerment should be achieved, and through political participation of women, a country will develop, a state will develop, a society will develop, and also a family, and as a person, the woman as a human being, as a rational creature, she will develop and being the she can be a part of the nation's decision making process. According to Aristotle, politics, man by nature is a political animal. The term political is inextricably linked to the phenomena of conflict and cooperation. The activity through which people make, preserve and amend the general rules under which they live is known as politics. The study of government, the state and politics, the application of empirical theory and scientific methods to the analysis of political matter comes under the gamut of political. There are several views on politics. It is considered as the art of government, as public affair, as compromise and consensus, as power and the distribution of resources. Disagreement about the nature of political activity is matched by controversy about the nature of politics as an academic discipline. One of the most ancient spheres of intellectual inquiry reveals that politics was originally seen as an arm of philosophy, history or law. Its central purpose was to uncover the principles upon which human society should be based. It is essentially social activity, inextricably linked on the one hand to the existence of diversity and conflict, and on the other to a willingness to cooperate and act collectively. It is better to seen as a search for conflict resolution than as its achievement. As not all conflicts are or can be resolved, there is considerably debate about the realm of the political. Conventionally, politics has narrowly been seen as embracing institutions and actors operating in a public sphere concerned with the collective organization of social existence. However, when politics is understood in terms of power structured relationship, it may be seen to operate in the private sphere as well. The shorter Oxford English Dictionary defines politics as the art and science of government and as the branch of moral philosophy dealing with the state or social organism as a whole. In this tradition of thought, politics and the political are linked to public life, the state, and political parties. But there is widespread recognition of broader and more historically and culturally variable connotations. Vicky Randall identifies the common ground in its relationship to scarce resources and conflict over their distribution. She differentiated the concept of politics as an activity and as relationship. In relation to the arena of political life, feminism has been concerned to expose the gender nature of the political activity and to win full participation of women. Basically, feminism is a political project to understand and therefore to change women's inequality and exploitation. Now, understanding the participation is very essential. Participation is the involvement and consultation of those affected by decisions in the process of decision making. Involvement may include a right to elect representatives, to vote on issues, to campaign and canvass, to decide matters, to veto, etc. Participation is related to one's status, education, occupation, income, and membership of organization. Participation by both men and women is a key cornerstone of good governance. Participation could be either direct or through legitimate intermediate institutions or representatives. It is important to point out that representative democracy does not necessarily means that the concern of the most vulnerable in society would be taken into account in decision making. Participation needs to be informed and organized. This means freedom of association and expression on the one hand and organized civil society on the other hand. The idea of this participation assumes greater importance in a democratic system which indeed demand it. In International Encyclopedia of the Social Sciences, McCloskey defines participation as the principal means by which consent is granted or withdrawn in a democracy and rulers are made accountable to the ruled. However, in case of female participation, one can find a severe political apathy. Women have remained marginalized at a disadvantaged group throughout the globe. The sphere of world politics is no exception to it. J.N. Tickner, one of the scholar cum mother thinker of feminist stream of international relation, surprised by non-recognition of women participation and less number of women active in this sphere. Women are not only excluded as active political participator or researcher but also as a subject of study. In the practical political arena, the supremacy of men and subjection of women exist in most of the societies. After the adoption of democracy in 20th century by the most of the countries in Asia, Africa and Latin American continent, there is some progress in women's participation in politics. Still, this is not satisfactory. While studying the political participation as a concept, one of the most important ingredients of every political system is political participation. It is a known fact that political power in every society is monopolized by selected few persons. By involving common people in the affairs of state, political participation fosters stability and order by reinforcing the legitimacy of political authority. A society in which a major part of population is denied by any participation whatsoever is likely to be highly vulnerable. That is why, even in modern non democratic political systems, the idea of political participation seems to be well established. A modern fascist or a modern dictator, notwithstanding whatever power he is free to exercise, will certainly try to clock his arbitrary decisions with the will of a mass secured through some forms of political participation by the people. This, however, does not mean that rate of political participations are always high in modern stable democracies. Indeed, a democracy like the USA reveals a rather poor rate of political participation in comparison with the corresponding states in other democracies like as Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, and Scandinavian countries. Women empowerment and their active participation on the basis of equality in all sphere of life, especially participation in politics, governance, in the decision making process and policy formulations are vital for the overall development of the society. Let us first of all understand what do you mean by political participation. In order to spotlight the problem of women's underrepresentation in politics. Participation in electoral processes involves much more than just voting. Political participation derives from the freedom to speak out, assemble and associate, the ability to take part in the conduct of public affairs, and the opportunity to register as a candidate, to campaign, to be elected, and to hold office at various important fields. There is no such thing as a free choice in politics. People's preferences are influenced and conditioned by the social and political context in which they live. One can distinguish three kinds of political participation: voting, electoral campaign, and non-partisan lobbying, particularly on local community affairs or even particularized contacts with officials to achieve some personal benefits. Political participation denotes a series of voluntary activities such as bearing on the political process that involves issues like the selection of rulers and various aspects of formulation of public policy. These activities are voting at the polls, supporting possible pressure groups by being a member of them, personally communicating directly with the legislators, participation in political party activities, thus acquiring a claim on legislators, and engaging in habitual dissemination of political opinions through word of mouth communication to other citizens. Milbrath's classification tends to show that political participation basically is of two types, active and passive. That this distinction is a necessary outcome of the most common fact that political participation in every society has a cost that involves time, energy, and resources. Political participation may further be classified in terms of its purpose as instrumental and expressive. Instrumental political participation is essentially directed to the achievement of concrete goals like securing party victory or the passage of a bill or just a rise in one's status or influence. Expressive political participation does not aim at the realization of any concrete goal. It is concerned with some immediate satisfaction or a mere release of feeling. Thus, some vote not just because they are really interested in the political results flowing from the elections or any material gain for themselves, but because they just have a feeling of satisfaction in exercising their voting right. In actual practice, however, instrumental participation often gets mixed up with expressive participation. In case of women, there is a huge vacuum between procedural and substantive participation of women in politics. The question arises, what are the reasons for lack of substantial participation of women? The reason behind the insufficient participation of women in electoral politics, both at citizen and elite levels, was the male domination in the family and patriarchal mindset of society. In this system, in him was vested the authority to represent his family's interest in the outside world. The opponents of women's suffrage argue that how it could be possible for women to have opinions separate and different from those of her husband. While defining political participation, Verwa and Nai defined political participation as behavior designed to affect the choice of governmental personnel and or policies. They exclude passive forms, civil disobedience, and political violence, efforts to change or maintain the form of government, behavior outside the sphere of government, behavior mobilized by the government, and unintended political outcomes. Burns Casse defines political participation as all voluntary activities by individual citizens intended to influence either directly or indirectly political choices at various levels of the political system. It is their contention that a conceptualization of political participation must include protest and violence to present an adequate view of politics in the United States and Western Europe. Nelson defines political participation as an action by private citizens intended to influence the action or the composition of national or local government. Firstly, it includes illegal and violent actions intended to influence the government. Secondly, attention can be focused on forms of government. Third, the definition includes political action by the urban people which is mobilized or manipulated by others. To Nelson, most political participation by the poor is at least partly prompted or more or less successfully guided by the elite or middle class groups. Much political participation combines an element of manipulation by others with some degree of independent choice and judgment. This is particularly true with respect to the poor, dependent, and insecure. Broadly, political participation can be understood as a behavior influencing or attempting to influence the distribution of public goods, roads, school, health centers provided by the government. Now I will focus on the concept of political participation, and the essential variables working behind political participation can be categorized as psychological, social, and political. First of all, psychological variables. Political participation tends to meet one's psychological need of overcoming his loneliness. Politics aims not only offer the lonely man new opportunity for association with other, it is the conscious psychological grounds of political participation. Participation may also be attributed to unconsciously operating psychological elements. For example, political participation is likely to provide relief to man's intra-psychic tensions growing, mostly at the unconscious level and generated either by a conflict of the impulse or by a conflict between his impulses on the one hand and his mental mechanism on the other hand, the external background of this conflict being provided by either the familiar sphere or the social sphere. Men are always psychologically motivated by a kind of power seeking. The need for self-esteem are to a large extent gratified by political participation. Now the second variable, social variable. An individual's social environment contains diverse elements that have a clear bearing on the nature and extent of political participation. The most important among these elements are education, occupation, income, sex, age, residence, mobility, religion, race, and group influence. Political participation is relatively high in case of a better educated member of the higher occupation and income groups, male members of the society, settled residents, urban dwellers, and members of voluntary associations. People holding higher occupations usually reveal a greater willingness for participation. The manual or clerical work who usually have to work longer regular hours and who have a less security in their work cannot be expected to have a high political participation. Extensive data from various countries like the USA, Great Britain, Italy, France, Germany, Mexico, Sweden, Norway, and Japan confirm that men participate more than women who are found to be more conservative, less liable to the heterodoxy, less well informed about political issues, and public figures give less attention to the diverse points of view and therefore have less interest in politics. Sometimes women's major preoccupations with home and family may amount and also account for their low participation. Women are more submissive to the general culture that usually emphasized moral, dependent, and politically less competent images of women, which in effect reduce their partisan culture and sense of political efficacy and thus fix them for a less active political role. Generally, life conditions of a middle age, including property ownership, increased family responsibility, acceptance of group status, and more homogeneous social environment tend to promote greater political participation. Now, the third variable, political variable. Political participation is not natural. It has in fact to be learned. An individual derives an important part of his learning from the members of the group to which he belongs, and it is in the way that group membership, especially the membership of voluntary associations, increases a person's political interest. If the political map of a country is too large, if the machinery of political communication do not properly function, people are likely to develop somewhat a feeling of remoteness that seriously affect the rate of their political participation. On contrary, the more open in the competition for power in a society and the more open is the competition based on established and accepted forms of procedures, the greater will be the tendency to participate. The government's effort to encourage and instruct the potential voters is also a factor to count. Although this kind of effort is more to be found in the newly independent territories like India rather than in the established democracies of the West. Among all the political influences or participation, the party is surely the most important, since it is very significant vehicle for conveying the wishes of the people to the government. Party campaigns have a great impact on political participation. However, women's experiences and ideas about politics are rarely admitted in the mainstream discipline. In an international context, Cynthia Enloy has put up the question, where are the women? Women are often underrepresented in formal politics as head of the state or representatives in parliament. The women movement has pursued the goal that range from the sanction of women's suffrage and an increase in the number of women in responsible positions in public life. The concept of women empowerment, especially in the field of politics, has achieved momentum in view of the certain women reaching new heights in the administration. Some have performed well in industrial management and span of research. One can view few cases in high administrative politics, although this has encouraged new thinking. But what about the real practices? Gender inequality is itself a form of violence which contributes to the insecurity of all individuals. Professor J. N. Tickner expresses her concern, why there are so few women in my discipline of international relations? The disciplines such as international relations focus on the high politics that is related to diplomacy, war, statecraft, and gives emphasis on the world of statesmen and soldiers who are basically men. Until very recently, and still in many countries, women are prohibited from securing the commanding levels. Now, I will conclude with some observations. Political participation is any action or inaction of an individual or collectively by individuals who intentionally or unintentionally opposes or support changes or maintains some features of a government or community. At most, awareness is precondition of political participation. It is an action that the national and local level that supports or opposes state structures, authorities and decisions regarding allocation of public goods. Participation is an indication as well as a condition of women's status and power. It is a vital requirement for influencing the decisions, for promoting women's right and development. A direct and effective participation helps to enlarge the freedom of women as it is the process to empower them. The representation of women in political system is a good test of its claim to be democracy. The women's liberation movement that began in the 1970s were in many countries ambivalent about the formal political representation. However, by the end of 20th century, women's empowerment through movements, they were active to secure inequality, to remove inequality and equality of representation throughout the world. Suffrage campaigns over the right to education, to paid work, to equal pay, to personal dignity and security, to sexual autonomy were also concerned about the inclusion of women's interest in policy making. Later movements for representation in legislatures and assemblies were movements for presence that challenged political arrangements and sought to insert women interest into political decision making by ensuring they are amongst the policy makers. Since the 19th century, women's movement activists had demanded state action on range of issues that includes anti-discrimination policies, anti-violence policies, reproductive rights, child care and political equality. Making women more vital to government concern is partly about electing and appointing more women to public offices, that is descriptive representation. It is also about incorporating women's concern into the policy process, that is substantive representation. While increasing women's descriptive representation may lead to inclusion of women's concern, it is only one of the several ways of enhancing women's representation. Coral Cone takes us inside the world of strategic planners who were mostly men and examines their modes of discourses, which she describes as loaded with masculine imaginary. It is difficult for anyone involved with national security planning to express ideas marked as feminine. For instance, a preference for negotiation over coercive threatening. Women have always been active agent in international politics. Their participation has more often taken place in non-governmental settings such as social movements rather than in interstate policy making. If we have to break the current political stalemate, we have to change the mindset, keeping in view the gap between the myth and reality of women political participation in politics. While concluding this unit, I would like to say that in this specific module defining political participation, I have discussed the concept political participation and I have cast light the journey that how women can become a power maker, or you can say that she can be the part of decision making process. Give a chance to women to be the part of the political decision making, then only the public arena will be open to women, because substantive participation is very crucial. Only procedural democracy which is working in our country is not sufficient. Procedural participation is there. We are talking about reservation, but there are so many examples of the panchayats where women are already, there are seats reserved for them, but actually the work is being done by their male heads. So participation should be at substantive level, means they should really participate, they must be educated, they must be the part of the policy making, they must be the part of the decision making, and they must be the representatives, the part of the legislators and actively working. Then only they will be empowered, not only at state level, national level, and also at family level, at personal level, and then only the country will be empowered, because they are the half of the population, and without empowering them, without politically active the half of the population, the country cannot be empowered. So political participation is very crucial, and it is the keystone for the women empowerment. Thank you.